What's up everyone, this is Segan. Thank you for joining in because I'm going to share with you my 10 best shoegaze albums. If you're watching this video, then you're probably looking for some shoegaze content. We all know that shoegaze is a genre that is created with dreamy instrumentation with guitar effects that sound like reverb, delayed, sustainer, also that distorted glaze wall of noise, and don't forget about that soothing, moaning vocals. Also, this genre is infused with dream pop, indie rock, post-rock, and maybe a pinch of post-hardcore. Therefore, I want to share with you my 10 best shoegaze albums. These are albums that I have experienced and connected and resonated. And I know you're probably going to disagree after watching this video and say, where is Lush, Ride, Daydream Twins, or Swerve Driver? Don't take it personal because this is my personal list. These are my experiences. These are the albums that have plugged into my heart. And if you would love to share your favorite shoegaze albums, just feel free to comment below. I'd love to know which albums that you think are the greatest. And I'm pretty sure there's albums I never got to or I've never heard of. So this is how it's gonna go. I'm going to shout out 10 shoegaze albums, ranking from 10 to my number one album. And the only rule I'm going to have is each album is going to have a different band. I feel like it would have been fair if I had 2-3 albums with the same band, because with this list of bands, I could have gone that way. All right, enough of me talking. Let's get into it. Grab your snacks, drinks, sit back and relax. And here are my 10 best shoegaze albums. Coming in at number 10 is a band from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania called Nothing with their 2016 album, Tired of Tomorrow. I've really enjoyed this album when it came out. To me, when I was introduced to Nothing, I feel like they were aiming towards that post-hardcore, grunge, shoegaze type of style. And with this album, I love how there's a lot of post-rock tones. At times there does sound like Swerve Driver or This Would Destroy You, which is a post-rock band. But all of these tracks within these albums is pretty strong and they're very soothing, and at times it could get very heavy, like a breakdown in a shoegaze way. But this is an outstanding album. I could listen to it from the beginning to end. But if you have not heard this album, go ahead and check it out. You might like it. Coming in at number 9 is a band from Arizona called Holy Fawn with their 2018 album, Death Spells. This is a very mighty album and very extraordinary. But to me, this definitely sounds like shoegaze, somewhat in a post-metal screamo way, but I think that's a cool thing about it because it's very heavy. You hear a lot of tones that sounds like a wall of sound, and sometimes it can be very soothing, and then at some parts within these tracks of the albums, it just comes crashing down. And I think that's a cool thing about the vocals. It can have that very soothing, moaning voice, and then at times it gets very hardcore with those intense raspy screams, and I feel like that's what makes it unique and for this kind of approach in a shoegaze album. But if you have not heard this album or Holy Fawn, be sure to check it out. You might like it. Coming in at number 8 is a band from Los Angeles, California called The Meeting Places with their 2003 album, Find Yourself Along the Way. This is a very cool album. It definitely sounds like it's from that early or late 1999 shoegaze era. But I love how this album is very dreamy, delayed, and I love the vocals. It's a little bit different, like an indie rock way, or it sounds like a British type of vocals. But I love how these guitar effects have that sustainer item that they use. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. It's like that little light bulb that they put in the middle of the strings. And I love how this album can be very uppity. It lifts you up, and at times it can be very calming with those nice acoustic sounds. But I can't explain more about this album. You have to listen to it, and be sure to check it out if you're interested in this album. Coming in at number 7 is a band from Nottingham, England called Amusement Parks on Fire with their 2005 album, Amusement Park's On Fire. I love this album. I believe I heard this album when it came out in 2005. I remember just searching through Apple Music, and I think I was listening to Film School, and then this band came up, and it was definitely new to me. It definitely brought to my attention because it sounded like maybe a place to bury strangers or old school Foo Fighters. It is fucking phenomenal. Like, this album is grunge with shoegaze, and I guess a little bit of post-rock as well, because some of these instrumentations or interludes can be very dreamy, and you can hear those very reverb, distant guitars. It's pretty fucking cool, and I love like their vocals because it's kind of reminds me of the band Doused. So if you have not heard this album, give it a try. You might like it. Coming in at number 6 is a band from Paris, France called Alcest with their 2014 album, Shelter. Why the fuck is this album and band in here? Because Alcest is known for their black metal integrated with shoegaze, which is black gaze, but this is their 100% shoegaze album. I mean, it's fucking beautiful. It sounds different from the rest of their albums and any other shoegaze albums, and you just gotta admit that Niche has a beautiful voice. I feel like whatever he does, it's gonna become fucking gold. I think how the guitar effects are fucking great. They're very unique. Also, you do hear a lot of those post-rock tones, and you hear a lot of those cool reverb solos. And this whole album is like a roller coaster. It comes in all kinds of waves. It can be slow and beautiful, and at times it can just be very loud, like a Explosion in the Sky post-rock track. But this is a great fucking album. If you have not heard it, check it out. You might fucking like it. Coming in at number 5 is a band from Brooklyn, New York called Diiv with their 2019 album, Deceiver. This is a pretty badass album. I really like Diiv, and I feel like this is their first approach to a shoegaze album. And this album has post-punk, grunge, shoegaze, indie rock, but above all, with all the material that they create, this is a great shoegaze album. And I feel like for Diiv, it's hard for them to make a bad album with the formula that they are creating. I mean, all these fucking tracks are amazing. Like, there's some times where it gets fucking heavy, like My Bloody Valentine. At times it does sound like old school Smashing Pumpkins. I know it's a typical thing for me to say, but for y'all people who are new to shoegaze, this is a great fucking album. I think it's outstanding. There's a lot of good tracks to it, and also they're fucking amazing live. That's where I got the fucking shirt. But if you have not heard this album, Deceiver, get into it. You might like it. Coming in at number 4 is a band from Antwerp, Belgium called Newmoon with their 2016 album, Space. This is a really cool fucking album. I know a lot of people are gonna say, like, this is not really shoegaze. This could be shoegaze with post-hardcore, but it sounds fucking amazing. Like, to me, it's a championship-winning album. Everything's glorious about it. All the tracks are fucking amazing. All the guitar effects are great. The drumming is sick, and I love how the vocals has a great shoegaze tone to it. These tracks get very explosive, like they change tempo. That kind of reminds me of like Full Collapse Thursday. But above all, this is an epic album. I love how some of these guitar solos are just fucking amazing. It just gets to the point that makes you want to fucking do better in life. If you have not heard this album, check it out. You might fucking like it. Coming in at number 3 is a band from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania called Doused with their 2021 album, Murmur. This is a really cool fucking album, and I love how this shoegaze album has definitely changed my perspective in shoegaze. I love all the guitar effects in here, the sound. It can be very distorted, lo-fi, glazy, and I love the introduction of this track that sounds like a ending to a great, outstanding 80s movie. And at times it does get fucking heavy and loud, kind of like Nothing. They have like a cool breakdown to it. But everything is just like fucking perfect about this album. I mean, like, all the guitar effects are just fucking amazing. The sound, I just can't describe. But if you have not heard this album, check it out. You might fucking like it. Coming in at number 2 is a band from Berkshire, England called Slowdive with their 1994 album, Souvlaki. And I know this is like a pioneer shoegaze band. What can I say? I feel like they do it in the best way because of all the guitar effects, the vocals, the drumming, everything just sounds fucking beautiful and very dreamy. And I think what definitely hit me for this album to be number 2 is I experienced being outside with my son. He was playing in the water and we were jamming out to this album, and it just made the experience a whole lot better. And I was like, damn, this is awesome, just watching my children play outside, listen to fucking Slowdive. And this album has always been a favorite of mine, but this is like a perfected shoegaze album and you can't get any better than this one. This is why it's in my number 2. Coming in at number 1, my best shoegaze album of all time is a band from Dublin, Ireland called My Bloody Valentine with their 1991 album, Loveless. What can I fucking say? This is a fantastic, badass, unique, extraordinary shoegaze album. The first time I listened to this album back in 2005 when I picked up at the library, I did not like it. It sounded fucking ugly. I thought like 3 tracks were playing at the same time, and I was just not used to the sound, and my ears just wasn't resonating with it. But as time went by, I started to notice that, damn, this is a fucking artsy, unique album, and no one's gonna do it like this with this type of shoegaze. Come on, you already know Kevin Shield is like the mastermind to all these guitar effects along with these vocals. Everything is just beyond captivating, and it's just a fucking dreamy album. And at times there are those monotone, cohesive sounds that just makes you fucking feel good, but this album is just like good from beginning to end, and it's like a fucking awesome wave. You can get lost into it from beginning to end. And I'm pretty sure if you're into shoegaze, you know this might be on your list or you already heard this album. But what can I say? It's a fucking great album. If you have not heard this album, get into it because it's gonna blow you away. All right, well, that's it for me. Those are my 10 best shoegaze albums. Let me know what you thought about the list. Please let me know what your favorite shoegaze albums are. And I didn't have much to say about these albums because I'm not really good at this shit, but most importantly, I just want to put the list out there so you can check out these albums if you have not experienced them. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching this video. I'm not too sure when the next time I'm gonna make another video, but until next time, take care, be safe, and peace.